listen, this next person, Morgan Allen, Morgan, your thing freeze? Okay. This next heavy hitter that we have here, okay, is I know this guy personally, right? And he is a former candidate for circuit court judge, right? He's an OG. I call him judge, affectionately call him judge, but he is attorney Joseph Haynes Davis. How are you? How you doing, attorney? I feel weird calling you attorney, so I'm gonna I don't know if people gonna trip if I call you judge. That's what I usually call you. That's what you in my phone as. But I speak.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. How y'all doing?
We're doing good. Doing great.
Everything's groovy like a Pam Grier movie.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Alan Morgan, this is one of the OGs that I, whenever I need to, even guidance, who's instilled in me, poured into me as far as like knowledge. So I really wanted to have him on the Soapboxx Podcast. The first time he's on the Soapboxx, which is astonishing to me because I talk to this dude pretty frequently, and we've had lunch. But I want to get your take on something with the judge in the Derek Chauvin trial. So I'm going to play a clip, and then we'll go from there.
Shooting death of Daunte Wright. At one point, she seemed to tell protesters to stay on the streets if Chauvin is acquitted.
We got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
I'll give you that Congresswoman Waters may have given you something on appeal that may result in this whole trial being overturned. This goes back to what I've been saying from the beginning. I wish elected officials would stop talking about this case, especially in a manner that is disrespectful to the rule of law and to the judicial branch and our function.
And the judge in Chauvin's trial denied the defense a motion for a mistrial based on her comments. Representative Waters responded saying she was not encouraging violence.
All right, so I'm just gonna call you judge, and if people don't like it, then screw it. Because we have somebody in Soapboxx Nation, Chadwick Hardy, said he should be a judge. So the people of Soapboxx Nation have spoken, so that's what your name gonna be on this show. So judge, that's what we do. We just kind of appoint people here. Who was inappropriate in that instance? Was Congresswoman Maxine Waters' comments? Do you feel like those were inappropriate with the case still on, with the ongoing case, or was the judge out of line for admonishing Congresswoman Maxine Waters and really insinuating that the Derek Chauvin defense team had a grounds for an appeal?
Okay. Well, the bottom line was that when the judge said what he said, it was out of the earshot of the jury. So that sidebar conversation, while it was recorded and it was broadcast over and over again from around the world, I'm a correspondent for TRT World News out of Istanbul, Turkey, as a political analyst and legal analyst. Of course, the only African American, the only brother from Orlando, the only brother in the country. But with that being said, I'm just having fun with you. But as we say on the real, it was out of the earshot of the jury. Now, what it did do, before I get to Congresswoman Waters, what it did do was give a picture, for better or worse, maybe a snapshot of the thinking of the judge as how he looked at matters from, as we sometimes say, 30,000 feet in the air. I mean, it was a comment that he made, but even the judge has to remember that the First Amendment was in effect that being broadcast, and people can get the wrong opinion of not only the judge, wrong opinion of the procedure of the court, and the wrong opinion of the separation of powers, that is the judge, and then you have the prosecution and the defense. A person could think to themselves that this judge is trying to throw the defense a bone. On the other hand, Congresswoman Waters, I do not believe, is an attorney. Congresswoman Waters is entitled to her First Amendment utterances.
Mhm.
But even with that, I believe that, well, let me say this. Even with that, the other argument is that Congresswoman Waters, in light of the fact that this was arguably, up to this point, the trial of this century, candor may have been more appropriate. So I am not going to make a judgment on either one of them. I think my role, and it always has been, although I'm using a little bit of humor tonight because I know you.
That's
but
right. You're home.
My role still professionally is an analyst to give both sides of the argument, both sides of the view, be as objective as my broadcast mentor, the late Walter Cronkite, and Ed Bradley, and those of, probably before any of y'all were born, but they laid the groundwork for what we know now as modern broadcast news. I take that position almost, I guess like a judge, try to be as objective as possible and give my opinion for the opinion to be for both sides of the argument.
Let me ask you this question. And you said, as you said, you see things from both sides, and that's why you're on here, and that's why I love getting your perspective. What do you feel like this verdict, the Derek Chauvin verdict, what does this do, or how does this impact the American judicial system moving forward? Is this is it a landmark verdict because an officer was finally convicted and we had other police officers testify, or is this just another case and we have other situations and we still got a long way to go for justice? So what do you, is this a significant impact moving forward?
Yes, but let me qualify something, and excuse me.
I thought it was green. I thought it was 420 was the other day. I thought it was a bong. I didn't think it was a water bottle at first. So my face is like
very all legal.
Forgive me. I know, Morgan, was I the only one that thought that? I was like, he's real.
No, I'm really wrong, right? No.
I was like, you're real comfortable. I was like, okay, where's it? No, I'm just going. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Now, this case, well, first let me say this to you. Yes. It is not the only time a police person, either a high-profile case, a policeman, well, we've had high-profile cases where police have been convicted. Like, for instance, the brother over in Dallas, when the police woman accidentally or allegedly accidentally went into his apartment and shot him. Bolton, I think his last name was
Bolton John.
Right. Then we had another instance in Minnesota, and me being the journalist that I am, I keep up with this type of stuff. I don't know if you recall the Somali descended black man who was the policeman.
I do.
And he shot a white female from Australia who had called the police because she heard allegedly gunshots in the alley. So that policeman and his partner, a white policeman, drive up to the alley, and she just kind of, I think what happened, she came up on the passenger side where he was sitting, surprised him, and he shot her fatally. Well, they tried him, and he was convicted of that third-degree charge that was tacked on in Chauvin. So he's doing 10 years right now. Okay. Now, to answer your question, of course, this case, because again, it was multiplied, the 9-minute and 29-second tape, I call it tape because I'm from that era, but video, as you all call it.
You got you.
Was multiplied and broadcast over and over again around the world. And so this was a measuring stick as we move forward for this decade and for this generation, so to speak. Absolutely. Now, what does it do for America? It continues to divide America. On the one hand, you have a number of people, black and white, who say to themselves, why do these brothers resist? If you comply, the argument goes, you're more likely to survive. In fact, you probably will. That's the argument. On the other hand, the argument is, well, okay, cool, he didn't comply, but when they were taking him down, because they subdued him, in other words, he was no longer a quote unquote threat.
Right.
Why does the killing have to take place? I have said over and over again, and I've tagged you on my broadcasts from TRT World News to the English-speaking world, the English-speaking globe. I've tagged you before to say the following. We cannot measure the hearts of men or women. So when you talk about change, just like anything else, change takes time. Change has taken time over time. Arguments are made that, well, nothing has changed, which I'm 62 years old, been black and male, and in the words of Muhammad Ali, beautiful, pretty. I've been black and male my whole life. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And what I'm saying is I've seen change. I'm going to tell you, I'm from the era where prior to 2008, you could not have told me a black man named Barack Hussein Obama would have been elected president of this great nation. Okay. So we've seen progress and so forth. You have a number of black Americans in Congress and so forth. I mean, we could go down the line of a lot of.
But is that really?
Let me finish.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, because these things are happening, in other words, the killing of black people by the police, people could say change hasn't taken place. We might be regressing. My position, and I will only give you my opinion about this. I believe with the advent of technology and what I've spoken to you about, what I call the citizen journalist, that being the citizen who has the use of their cell phone, and their cell phone video has changed the game. So progress has been made, because what has that done? It's expanded the First Amendment freedoms of the citizenry of this great nation. So so that is my answer to your question. I'm sorry it took so long, but I'm long-winded tonight.
No, you're good. No, and as you can see, the person on my shirt, James Baldwin, who I read and I follow often, as an influencer of mine. He said, in his daddy's time, we kept saying, wait for progress. And then during his time, it says wait for progress. And now it's like, how long, basically I'm paraphrasing, but he's saying, how long do we wait for this progress? And when we've experienced it. But we're still seeing black people.
It's not going to ever end. Okay, let's get to the bottom line.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's not going to ever end, because again, in my lifetime, and possibly you all's lifetime, because this is the issue. It is an issue of the human existence. It's the issue of the human heart. It is the issue of the human being. And you cannot measure the hearts of men or women. You cannot do it. You are only able to evaluate and measure the hearts of men or women over time. That's all you can do. Period. And that's from a sociological standpoint. And I will debate anybody on that. Because the fact of the matter is, time always tells. Time doesn't lie. I always tell people, I said this on TRT World News the other night, facts and history don't lie. only people do. And I'll narrow it. Facts don't lie, only people do, because sometimes people recreate history and history is revisionist.
Mm-hmm. So Judge, yeah, I do have a question because, you know, I think that I've heard you echo some things that I sometimes tell people as well when they say, you know, nothing has changed between X amount of years. And I think, you know, speaking with my elders, they'll always tell me that
I'm not an elder though.
No, not you.
He goes, Judge. Listen, Judge gonna be on one of them verses with the Ozzy brother. He still got it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Just speaking to people a little bit more seasoned than me, they do take a little bit offense to that because they're saying that, you know, you'll be a lie to say that things haven't changed within the last 50 years, even though it's not as much as we would like. But to your point, I do have a question for you. So do you feel like, I guess for lack of a better term, equality is just another form of evolution in the human existence? Like, are you going to know two parallel?
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
listen. Nothing is equal. The issue in this society, the issue in a constitutional republic, because that's where we live, is what is equitable. Nothing is equal. In any sense of the imagination, nothing is equal. I mean, let's call it what it is. Respectfully, on this show, if it's us four plus, you know, a white person, it's a different game. Mm-hmm. In other words, the message through the medium is different. I'll give you an example. Before he passed, and I saw some excerpts of it, if I didn't see it in total, the interview with Rush Limbaugh with the Breakfast Club. Okay? Now, we all, and you all don't have to agree with me, but let me just say this, because I am who I am and what I am. Rush Limbaugh, God rest his soul. Some people will say, Joe, I don't know how you can say that because he needs to be in hell. That's your opinion. This is
I'll be that. Okay. Go ahead. Now, I'll let you continue.
He might be that, but that's okay. I'm just a guy. But Rush Limbaugh, if you remember that interview, he was not as bodacious.
Oh,
he was to some degree very humble, and while they had some disagreements, Rush Limbaugh and what's his name, Charlemagne the God,
Andrade.
Yeah, but it was in particular with Charlemagne. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say they hit it off, but there was for lack of a better term, we used to call this in the 70s, there was a détente. In other words, there was an agreement of two broadcasters that are going to respect themselves, okay, and respect each other. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up that analogy, when you are talking about what you're talking about, equality, even in that instance, there was not necessarily any equality, but it was what was equitable. And what was equitable was to get on with this show for the benefit of the audience. And so that's what, you don't have to accept it. I don't care if anybody doesn't accept it. But this is the reality. There's nothing ever going to be equal. Nothing has never been equal. But the issue is what is equitable. What is equitable? And what is equitable? I don't know, because that's a day-to-day thing. That is a day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year, second-to-second, moment-to-moment. You know, the only way you will be able to evaluate it is to look back. You know, you know, when you attempt, and I don't mean it in a condescending way, but when you attempt to look forward in terms of evaluations, that's when you get in trouble, because you don't have necessarily the evidence to look at. In other words, you don't have history. With looking in the future, you don't have history. That's just my opinion, and that's just a long answer to your very, very good question.
Well, I have one of the things that I hope you don't mind me sharing this. I think one of the most profound things that you've said to me, and we've talked and we had our conversations, is that you said a black man doesn't have the privilege to leave any of his rights off the table.
None.
Can you expound on? And I want you. Can you expound on that for?
Oh yeah, I mean, listen. Let's just call it what it is.
Okay.
That the old man is a strong, fire-breathing Second Amendment advocate.
Mm-hmm.
I advocate for the Second Amendment. And I don't know how much time you have, but the reason why I advocate for the Second Amendment, because if there is in our society, because I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt,
yes,
if there is violent, armed white supremacy and bigots in our environment, why would you want an intelligent, good-looking old dog like myself to be unarmed, to be able to defend myself? If you've got one AR, I want 5. If you've got 500 bullets, I want 5,000. Malcolm X even said, the only thing power respects is power. And on the other side, the way that communism was dismantled in Europe during the 80s was through the power of the United States and the military and the access to nuclear weapons and so forth, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, it made us safer. Right? I am not walking out of the house ever as a black American male who is reasonably intelligent, like Muhammad Ali say, real pretty. I'm not walking out of the house unarmed, ever. Not even to walk the dog, ever. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And while you or anybody else looking at this can say, well, I don't like guns. I don't like guns either if I don't have one. I mean, that's just the way it is for me.
Yeah.
I'm not for everybody. In other words, how I think and look at things, obviously everybody doesn't look at them like I did. My mother and father, and I want to remember because I've posted this article, and if you would like to have a direct copy of it, I'll email you the link. My mother and father bought a 160-acre farm in Millstadt, Illinois, southern St. Clair County, Illinois, in 1947. Millstadt, Illinois was a 100% German American immigrant enclave until we moved there. Now, when they moved there, when the bigots came out to try to intimidate them, they couldn't call the Illinois State Police, couldn't call St. Clair County Police, couldn't call the Millstadt Police, but they did call 2 12-gauge shotguns and Smith & Wesson, okay, and started shooting at them. And then by a miracle, everybody became friends. My father, the late Dr. Miles Dewey Davis. My mother's late Josephine Haynes Davis. And these were highly accomplished Black Americans. My father got his dental degree from the prestigious Northwestern School of Dentistry in May of 1924. My mother and my father, before that, graduated from an HBCU in Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. It's called Arkansas Baptist College. My mother graduated summa cum laude. I graduated, thank you, Lottie. But she graduated from Kentucky State University in 1938. She got her master's degree in 1941, 10 days after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, from Columbia University in New York, Ivy League. They got married in 1946 and started shooting at bigots in 1947. Okay? So that, let's just say the apple doesn't fall too far from the trees. So that's what Mr. Legacy or TJ, my brother's talking about. because that's how I believe. Now, everybody doesn't have to believe it, but that's the way I'm going down. And they're not coming to take it. I can tell you that right now, not to get political, but I can tell you, you're not getting mine. I'm not turning them in. I will not comply.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to, because I know on this next subject we're not gonna agree.
Okay.
So, but I want to, and I'm prefacing that because
it's all right.
we're and as you guys can see between Judge and myself, whenever we talk privately on a conversation, it's a long, like, we got to schedule time out because it's a long conversation. It's definitely a long conversation. I know we're gonna have, but I want to be respectful of your time.
No,
I want to get your thoughts on the situation that happened in Ohio right after the verdict of Derek Chauvin. There was no rest for the weary, because in Ohio we had Ma'Khia Bryant, who's 16 years old. We found out she was actually shot 4 times in the chest by an officer. Now, the community of itself, in social media, everyone, athletes, everyone was outraged with the shooting.
Not everyone.
Most folks were outraged because they're just like, okay, here we go again. We have someone who's a military sniper, who was trained military sniper, or marksman is the appropriate term. Military marksman who's on the force, shoots this girl who was having a dispute. 2 girls came to her house trying to jump her. They had an altercation. She had a knife, right? I'm gonna say that for all the she had a knife folks. She did have a knife. She was trying to defend herself. The cop ensues, and then he shoots her. She shoots her.
Well, that's
my estimation. Ohio is a stand your ground, is also a stand your ground state, similar to what we have here in the state of Florida. Stand your ground meaning you have a right to defend. You have a right to defend yourself in your domain. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, but here's the deal.
But okay, so I want to get, because I know. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you have it.
Well, this is the thing. Okay.
Okay.
As I see. Okay. Now, was she a child? Yes. From the video we saw, did we see other adults outside standing around watching the fight? Yes. If she was the one that called the police, did she call the police from inside the house? I don't know. But if you call the police and these girls are getting ready to jump you, what are you doing outside the house? Just go inside the house. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that's the way I was raised. Okay? So you got these adults out here looking. They didn't break up the fight. They didn't try to de-escalate anything. I don't know what they did. But this is what I think, because we don't know anything except the video that we've seen. True. And I saw another angle in the whole 9 yards of whatever. Okay? Now, I'm just going to say this to you. If either one of your colleagues here on the Soapbox, we're over at TJ Legacy's house, and we're having, a couple beers because he's a Boston Celtic fan, a Boston Red Sox fan, and I just happen to be a St. Louis Cardinal fan. And I'm over there too, and your 2 colleagues here, one of them might be a Yankee fan. The other one he actually is. Yeah. One of them might be a Tampa Bay Rays fan. So we all over here at TJ's. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we, somebody gets to arguing, whatever. And somebody getting ready to stab TJ. But the old man pops him before they get ready to stab TJ. Is TJ happy that I popped who was getting ready to stab you? I know, cricket.
Are you asking? No. I was like, is this a rhetorical question?
Yeah, it is rhetorical, but it's to the point. I mean, if somebody's getting ready to stab you, okay, let's say we ain't at your house. Let's say we over at the taco place. Downtown Orlando. Oh,
don't let the people, the cops.
No, I didn't say. Don't let them know where we go. Okay. Yeah, you're right. We're outside the taco place. Okay. Yeah. And somebody, for some reason, I saw the Soapbox, and I know you're a public figure, and I'm gonna, and he just comes up rapidly, getting ready to stab you, but the old man, bam, pops him right there on the street before he stabs you. Are you happy that I popped him?
I would say yes, but here's the difference. You are talking about a grown man, two grown men, right? And some stranger coming in the street while we're over there enjoying our tacos, having our brew, which we also need to do sooner rather than we gotta do that, But these are children. These are young teenage girls. But also, this is we're not going to hold, and this is what I don't like. We're not going to hold law enforcement who are trained, right? Who are trained to de-escalate situations to the same standard as regular.
Okay, listen.
Wait, before I get your comments, I want Morgan to chime in because Morgan, you had something to say. I want you to chime in real quick.
Okay.
I mean, I was going to say, what would have been the difference if the father or the young lady that she was charging that killed her versus the cop? And I get what you're saying with their training. We hold them to, this certain standard and thinking that they should be able to come onto the scene and de-escalate. But at the same time, they're still human. They're still who they are. You know what I mean? They don't come with a warning sign to say, I'm going to be biased, or when I show up, I'm only going to see skin color or what have you. But I agree with the judge. What would be the difference if someone else out there would have shot her to keep her from stabbing the young lady? Would we still be as outraged?
No, I am so glad you brought that up. My thing is this. You had adults out there.
They failed her.
Right. They should have cooled that out. But even more than that, she shouldn't have come out the house if two girls wanted to jump her. And what is everybody standing out there for anyway? And let's not forget about the brother on the right side of the camera who kicked the girl in the head that was already down. That was lethal in and of itself. He was talking about, you didn't have to shoot her. I don't know if the brother was of age or not. But here's the big thing for me. Because like I said, I turned 62 on April 4th on Easter. Okay? I don't know how these folks are being raised. I don't understand it. I don't understand how.
Why are we putting the onus on the people and not the people, the person who's there to protect and serve?
What? When was the last time? Listen, when was the last time you went out there and acted a fool like that? I'm just telling you. Let me just say this. But I'm a
licensed security officer. I've been trained to de-escalate.
Let me tell you. Okay. I've been living for over 62 years. Okay. Now I'm just telling you, if for whatever reason, policeman stops me, I'm courteous, here you go. Whatever, even if he makes a mistake, I got to put you in handcuffs. Okay. Period. You comply, it's less likely. Okay. Now, with this situation, I'm putting the onus on these parents and these adults raising your kids. It's not my responsibility, and I'm not going to take my responsibility. I'm not going to be responsible. The only time I'm responsible is when I'm representing your child in front of a judge. Then I have the ethical duty to defend them with every breath I have in my body, and I will do that. Okay? I will do that. But other than that, why is your child acting like that? I don't understand.
She's in foster care.
Yeah, I was gonna say not the kind of.
I know she's in foster care. I don't. How many foster care? Yeah. Every foster care kid doesn't act like that.
Listen, okay.
I mean, and let me put this on the record.
I want to ask you a question.
Let me put this on the record.
Go ahead, put it on the record. I'm gonna ask you a follow-up question.
I am a master of social work of the University of Pennsylvania. I've worked with these kids. I've run a group home of 15 abused and neglected Black American boys and some Spanish in West Philadelphia. And I ran that group home, that was before I went to Atlanta, 1993 to 94, okay? Yeah. Youth Services Incorporated, United Way Agency. and you think Joe Clark on Lean On Me was bad, I was like him on LSD. Okay? But I kept them boys in line. And now 2 of them are like my play sons on this social media. Okay? So you've got to discipline our children and raise them right and stop allowing for the state and other entities to discipline and raise our children. You raise them right, you don't have that. Now I'll shut up for you.
And I think I think what you're saying is a good point in regards to like what's the structures that we have in place to protect the youth. Because I think just like in the pyramid of accountability is concerned, her being the youngest in charge, of course she was in foster care, which has to hold some accountability to what they're teaching and how they're dealing with these people. And then supposedly the other ladies who she was in a squabble with, who were adults, were also product of that foster care. So now we have a trickle.
I didn't know that. See, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, so now
I didn't know that she was fighting adults. She was fighting adults.
When you say, what are these adults doing? Like there were adults there that were just like in the midst of that whole feud. Right. So now we have a trickle down effect of the foster care system, and then the people who came within that, and then it's her brought up in that, and then also it's like the last line of defense when it comes to the system that is supposed to protect is also the police.
Yeah, no,
I just think that people are kind of like, okay, we understand the defense part, but there are supposed to be some sort of protocol prior to, like, a bullet is supposed to be the last thing you resort to.
Yeah, like what happened to assessing, going to the scene and assessing the situation?
She was getting ready to stab a girl on the stomach.
She didn't have time.
Stab a girl on the stomach.
Taser? Wait a minute. I have a video.
Stab a girl in her stomach with a butcher knife.
Judge,
a taser,
if you have
a taser would exacerbate the problem. Because you're going like this, you're going to stab somebody. A taser, well, guess what? He's doing right here.
Listen, I want to
see the girl die. No, I wish she wasn't dead. I wish she wasn't shot. Okay? I'm just having a conversation with y'all about the reality. The knife was getting ready to go into the other girl's stomach.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you feel, let me ask you this, and I want you to just point. I am of the stance that law enforcement has a culture, especially when it comes to Black children and Black people, where there's the adultification of our youth, and also that we are dehumanized in the eyes of law enforcement. That when they see someone, and I'm gonna play a video, when they see someone who has melanin pigmentation, they treat them differently, right, than they would someone who is white. Similar to what we had Taylor Bracey in Osceola County, who was also in a similar situation, right? Who was also in a similar situation, and she got slammed by the cop. Another bullying type of situation. Then we have, and for everybody who says, I don't like giving these officers this leeway of, oh, well, the officer, we're justifying it, and the officers didn't have any time to do it. This is the same type of justification they used for Tamir Rice.
Okay, let me say this.
When they rolled up, I'm gonna play a clip, and then I'm gonna let you chime in, and you could stay longer because we're getting into this conversation. But let me go ahead and play, because I want everybody to see when they say.
I'm gonna say one name before you do. Police Chief Val Demings. Now go on, play it.
Okay.
I'm bringing it.
Okay. We'll do it.
You talking?
Forget it. That's Campbell sucker punching Lincoln Park officer Patrick Cutler. It's something she doesn't deny.
I am sorry. I told him that twice.
Man. Jeez. This guy's like a ninja, man.
Who the fuck do you think you are? You're gonna die! Step back! You put that down now!
She grabs the cop by her hair.
Let go of my hair! Stop hitting her! Let go of my hair!
Let go. She won't let go, so the cop tells the other officers to get some scissors and cut her hair.
Cut my hair. No, seriously, cut my hair. Cut my hair. I don't care.
Jerry, you're gonna get in trouble. Jerry, they're gonna hurt you. Jerry.
Now, let me say this to you. I just saw the video.
Let me break it down for the people who weren't able to listen or watch us live. For those who are on our streaming services, thank you for listening to us on the streaming services, on your favorite streaming services, the most infamous podcast on your streaming services. What we watched is a video of white people who were armed. Some were armed, some were not. One had a knife, not be lethally shot down dead by law enforcement.
How many did you show?
We showed about, I believe though, I'm going to say estimated, we probably showed about 6 different situations.
Okay,
right?
6.
So I want to say this. You cannot tell me, no one can tell me that there is not a difference and there is not between the way law enforcement treats African Americans and children when they get called, right? And how they treat white people, because mass shooters, Dylan Roof, he went to Burger King.
I get it.
Right?
Okay. So listen, I get it. But you saw only 6 people. White people get shot by the police as well all the time. Okay.
But that's proximity. But that's the overall problem with policing.
Let me just finish. But I'm going to bring it to you because you had her on your show, and I don't know if you asked her about her record.
I did. Val Demings. You're talking about Val, yes.
Yep.
Congresswoman Demings, yes.
The article that was published in The Atlantic, I want you guys to do your research.
Mm-hmm.
A magazine called, you can see it online, The Atlantic. Google The Atlantic magazine, Val Demings, and you'll see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, the same thing happened under her watch, but black people poo-pooed it because she was Black American and female. To me, that's
when
to
you
me.
When you say the same thing,
I could be wrong.
Wait, when you said the same thing, illustrate that a little bit.
But the point I'm making is that she had multiple, all the time, rogue police actions under her watch. And when you check out the Atlantic article, along with the Orlando Weekly, I want you to look at what she said as reported when they confronted
officer
rogue police behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that situation here with a Black American police chief, and it was worse. Period. We don't talk about that. And everybody who's watching me who likes her, she's my congresswoman.
Mm-hmm.
So people are probably watching this saying Joe Davis is a hater or, whatever. I'm not a hater. I'm a reporter. I'm a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Black man. I'm not dumb. I'm an attorney. And I have a very good memory.
Yeah.
And I know how to research articles on candidates. So the person could say, well, why are you bringing her in? She's no longer the apple's not orange or whatever. Okay, you can poo-poo, shoo, sweep under the table. My comments, that's okay. I'm making them. And like I said, facts don't lie. Only people do. In fact, as police chief, she contributed to crime by allowing her firearm to get stolen and never recovered, allegedly in front of her house, which is a gated community, not the gate that comes up that we can afford. A gate community with a human being monitoring egress and ingress.
Mm-hmm.
Cameras everywhere. And you allegedly stuck your service gun in a duffel bag in your car, and that's how it got broken into in front of your house.
But I'm trying to understand your argument. The
argument is this. Okay. Mm-hmm. We have to hold our own accountable. You showed me 6 pictures or 6 instances.
So does that make it justified?
If I may, 6 instances out of, I don't know how many people we have in America, 300 million people. 6 instances that the white aggressor against a police person was not similarly treated, in your opinion. I get it. I agree with you. Mm-hmm. But what I'm also saying to you is that we have had Black Americans in charge of these police agencies, and the egregious rogue nature was just as bad, if not worse. You look up that article.
I'm familiar with it, and I actually brought this up to her, right? Yeah. And I'll tell you what she said, and then I'll tell you my point. What she said, and I asked her, I said, you have a responsibility, right?
She's a politician now.
Correct. But that speaks to the larger systemic problem within law enforcement, where I said, I don't get into this whole good cop, bad cop. It's the orchard, or good apple, bad apple. It's the orchard. It's the system that allows these things to continue to fester. And also, what you talk about when you mention like Obama and some of these politicians and these prominent Black people in these positions, we can't, and I guess my generation, right? We don't look at tokenism as a sign of progress for the totality of our race, right?
Well, let
me finish.
Because they could call you a token.
Let me finish. No. What I'm saying is that when I say tokenism, you can't put one African American, and I think even Melba, who was on earlier, who was actually kind of insinuated to it. I want to break down what I mean by this, right? You can't put one African American, in a prominent position and say, "Hey, look, we have the first ever Black such and such and so." But everybody around it, the system around it, is corrupt and unjust. Well, we can't. You see what I'm saying?
It happens every day. It happens every day, and I don't know how the change is going to happen. And at the end of the day, all of these First Amendment freedoms, like the soapbox and what I do and what I did. I dominated Philadelphia radio in the 80s, part of the 90s, dominated over everybody. Okay. Yeah. Now, it doesn't matter. What I mean by that is it's part of the process. They could call you a token.
How am I token?
They could call all of us a token. They could say, well, you're a token because you're an extension of your commissioner with the city. Okay.
Which commissioner?
Commissioner, what's your commissioner?
Sibling?
Yeah.
I'm not an extension of her.
No, I'm just saying.
Look, anybody. Listen, I'm not. No. I'm saying because anybody who's on.
I'm saying to you what a person can say based upon what you are suggesting. They can say, well, TJ, he's, soapbox, he's supposed to be this, that, but he took that advocacy position, reporting back to Commissioner Siplin.
To do what? To talk about what?
I don't know. Whatever you
you said you was trying. Come on now.
But I'm not making the accusation.
It was about what? Trying to prevent gang violence. So they needed someone, an activist, to come on and speak. Yeah, no. I get it. I just want to make sure for our UK listeners so that they know over.
But the question could be, why do you have to do that? Why do you have to get a quote unquote appointment from a commissioner to speak on trying not to have gang involvement. A person could say that. So what I'm saying to you is that you ain't got to agree. You don't have to agree. Nobody has to agree with me.
Gotcha.
We've made progress, period. But at the end, and especially with technology and the what I call the citizen journalists, okay? On the other hand, things still happen, and they're going to happen. You know why? Because it's part of the human condition, and it's always going to happen, period.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you'll always have this show, and as long as I'm living, the international journalism community will be calling me to comment and so forth, because on those shows, I'm highly objective. Right now, like you say, I'm at home, so I'm arguing with my little nephew, who I love. You see what I'm saying? Who at the end of the day, while we might disagree, if he needs me, I'm there. He knows that. Period.
And likewise. Listen, Judge Alan Morgan, if you have anything else, because I want we definitely got to have you back. And next time we're gonna have you back with some of the other OGs on the panel too. We really just wanted to get your insight on these topics. Yes, we can agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, and I like what we had on this show, because just because you have discourse with someone, even someone who may be considered your elder, as pretty as they are, right? You can still respectfully agree to disagree, and then have these dialogues and try to find somewhere to kind of meet in the middle, or be able to let other people hear different perspectives. So for anybody else who thinks the soapbox is about being in an echo chamber, we literally I knew we weren't gonna agree. We bring people on all the time who have different perspectives, and that's what we want.
I want to say this to your colleagues and the audience about TJ.
Yeah. Oh, and please let them know where they can find you too, Judge. For those, because we got other comments in the comment section of people that want to interact. There are some people that are leaving comments about your commentary.
Right. My website is www.jhdlaw.com.
Yeah.
And I guess you could subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm just now figuring that out, because I've been posting my international broadcast with TRT World News. Now, I just want to say this about TJ. I can tell you that I have watched him for a while now, and I knew it was something special when he had his first political debate at what's my man? He's the bishop.
The Hope Church.
Plays saxophone.
The Hope Church.
Hope Church. Right. Yeah. That's where I first met him. Right. Yeah. And I was talking to him. Right. And he's got on, vest. He's dressed nice. Vest, tie, shirt. And I'm talking to him about some things. I started talking to him about some things maybe in the 70s and 80s. And he looks at me. He goes, "I just want to let you know, I'm not that old." That's what he said. I just want to let you know, I'm not that old. I was like, really? And not that he looked old. He just was so mature. He was so he was sure of himself. I was like, "What do you mean I'm not that old?" He was like, "I'm only 28." I was like, at the time, I don't know if I could say that's what I said. Right? And so we've been friends ever since. And I am and fast forward, I'm just amazed at his acumen in this particular, y'all call it platform. We used to call it mediums. Okay. Okay. We all call it platform. But with this podcast thing, I can tell you that I'm proud of him. I'm proud to know him. And like I said, we may not agree, but we learn from each other, because respectfully, I have to know what's going on things that don't make sense to me. So I appreciate him.
No, I appreciate you. Always there for picking up the phone and give me some wisdom, some insight, and pushing me on a personal note for those who, pushing me to do things professionally and personally in my life to better myself. And one thing I will say about some of our, what I call affectionately our OGs, is that anytime they don't, Judge don't just talk to me. Judge will also, he'll give me homework to do, and he'll also say, hey, here's some books that I want you to read, or there's some books that I want you to have in order for you to be better. And so he's genuine, because when he says, I want you to be more equipped, more knowledgeable, and better than what I was at your age, that's what it's going to take. When it says take a village, that's what it takes. So, I am only a product of, when I say TJ legacy, a part of that legacy is people like Judge who have invested in me. And as you can see with some of the I'm so pretty and the things that he says, I say the same things on my show too. So that you guys can see, look, clearly the sex appeal on Thursday nights is right over here in this box. So, but Judge, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you giving my flowers, and you deserve your flowers. Are you still here? I'm asking you the same question I asked Melba before you go. All right. And I know we got some other topics that we got to run through. Politically wise, what's the next move? What are we thinking? Do we still look at running for office as a possibility? I know you got your practice. I know I'm putting you on the hot seat now, but what's your thought process?
I really don't know. I'm day to day. I like what I'm. I like my practice. Oddly, well, I shouldn't say oddly enough, because it was part of my campaign, but I like doing the Value Adjustment Board Attorney Special Magistrate work around the state. I have now been a county appointed magistrate for the various value adjustment boards for over 20, I think, for 23 counties, which is over 1/3 of the counties in the great state of Florida. And I'm very proud of that work. It's quasi-judicial in nature. And I'm very, very proud of that work, because I can tell you, and I might be wrong, and I don't ever, and TJ knows this, I don't ever talk about being the first black anything. But, I can tell you that I would say 99% of the counties where I've been appointed, I've been the first black Value Adjustment Board Attorney Special Magistrate in the history of that county. I mean, I can name you a few that I know that I'm telling you the truth, like Citrus, Sumter, Marion, Pasco, Hernando, okay, Lee, Sarasota, Manatee, Indian River County, Brevard, Volusia, Seminole, Alachua, okay, even Orange. I've been appointed here. So I'm very proud of that. But thank you all for having me, and I hope you all don't get too much hate mail about why y'all had that brother on there with the bald head. But
no. In fact, I want to let Morgan, if all your friends, Morgan, who's looking for some of these silver foxes out here in these streets, let them know the judge know where to find them. I got more. Let them know, Judge, that you is out here and you is in these streets, and we'll connect. You just let him know. Send him his way.
Thank you.
He'll get him right.
We'll see what we can do. Let's see what we can do.
All right. God bless y'all. God bless y'all.
Appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Hey, appreciate y'all. Hey, Soapboxx Podcast. I knew that was going to run longer than what it was. I knew it from the jump. That's why I explained it that way. Morgan, let's get to your stories that you had, Alan. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Morgan. I'm sorry. You have the.
Let's see what we got here.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Hold on just a minute. Let me get it. I got so caught up. Listen, so many gems, like, in just the guest. Good show. So,
yeah, go ahead.
I gotta pull it back in and get back into the mental. But Judge resigns after admitting to using the N-word and saying all lives matter while at work. This was in Colorado. District Judge Natalie Chase looks like she's resigned after she admitted to using the racial slur in front of court employees. I mean, it's I can't even believe that this type of conversation is still going on.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I can believe, if that makes sense. But just to see that we're still having this "why can't I say it" conversation. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much the gist of it. Her having that conversation, saying, what if it be different if the N-word was said with an ER, AN, A at the end of the word. Sort of like the video of the guy trying to, jazz it up, nigga, type shit. But
we need to tell white people, anytime you use the N-word, it's with the hard antebellum slavery ER. Okay, like it's never an A. It's never. Is that a rule? Like Alan, that's
that's automatic. It doesn't matter if you're trying to sing it, if you're trying to hum it, if you get the robot.
It don't matter. It don't matter if it's white boy summer. It don't matter if it's snowfall, winter, whatever the hell it is.
I don't care what I don't care what your ear hears. It is all the ER to us. So just don't.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I feel like if I have to ask if it's okay for me to say something, then that right there alone triggers me to know that, okay, obviously there's some, I shouldn't be saying this word. If I got to ask you if it's okay if I use this word, and apparently she used the full N-word a number of times. She might not have been in the company of no real niggas. Because it would
shout out to our white members of this white Soapboxx Nation who are white. Is like, we're more than all together, as you should. Thank you very much. Another one. Yes, absolutely. Sean agrees as well. Yes, and Bad Tie. Shout out to Bad Tie, multi-verse, coming through with the commentary. Say, don't say it around me. Yeah, I agree. That's how it looked like somebody who will really pop off. I pop off too. So, but go ahead.
I mean, and they say she was in the company of Black court employees. So, and I get it. We want to make sure that, even though I feel like, when it comes to racism, we know how easy it is for us to lose our job, our livelihoods, so I can see them not wanting to speak up because apparently this has been happening for a long time now. So, she may have been in a company of some real niggas that just wanted to keep their jobs. Because, so that could very well be, and that's that system, that racism that, white people don't feel like exists, but it does, because we can't, who are we going to go to?
And that's really, flexing your privilege, because, Black people are powerless and can't do anything in the workplace. I'm going to say it and dare you to say anything about me saying it in fear of you losing your income. It's crazy. And then, you know what? I think now that you're saying this, and this is in Colorado, all of her cases need to be looked at. Whoever comes after her or however they do it, they all need to look at her cases to make sure that, the sentencing was correct or who she let off, any of those type of things. She needs to be thoroughly investigated. Anything else on that, Morgan?
No, that's pretty much the gist of everything. And, like we said, her flexing that privilege, and, of course, the Black people around her that had to, listen to that, listen to her be a racist, pretty much, not wanting to lose their jobs by speaking up. So we're kind of muzzled, in that situation. So it's unfortunate, but, she resigned, and, she'll go on to live a happy, rich ass life and continuing to use the N-word. And
I wonder,
go ahead, Alan.
I wonder if that was an appointed judge or if that was a judge that was voted in. I'm interested in that. Like, I'm wondering, if she did have constituents, what do they think about this? And
she was appointed.
Appointed? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know what? Usually, and usually racists can't, eventually, if you're racist, it's hard to keep that shit in. Eventually, it's going to come out in some type of setting. Somebody knows. And that's why I get on a lot of, when you see that only that one Black friend who's in a circle of all white people, and it's like you hear some shit, and so you know, like, and so you got to check them. And I hate being around some of those folks that think that they could just go ahead and just say a racial slur, and you not, you know, and it just be cool with you. So no, we don't rock that way. Alan, what's going on with what we got coming up? We had LeBron, right?
LeBron James. So LeBron James recently, of course, in a smidge of hot water, depending on who you ask, because right after the Derek Chauvin case was completed, he did tweet out a picture of the cop who murdered Miss Ma'Khia Bryant that said accountability. And he also put that with the hourglass. Now, LeBron did end up deleting that tweet, and I quote, he says, anger, I'm going to go ahead and edit this for my man, Bron. Anger does not do us any good, and that includes myself. Gathering all the facts and educating does, though. My angle still is here for what happened to that little girl, my sympathy for her family, and may justice prevail. Additionally, he also said, I'm so damn tired of seeing Black people killed by police. I took the tweet down because it's being used to create more hate. This isn't about one officer. It's about the entire system, and they always use our words to create more racism. I am so desperate for more accountability. And that's what LeBron said, immediately after taking down the tweet that asked for accountability for the officer who killed Miss Bryant. So, LeBron often finds himself in these conversations. He often finds himself speaking up. Generally, that is why the quote unquote right have it out for him. Every time he says anything, they pop up with their just shut up and stick to sports or shut up and dribble takes. So, we do have to commend Bron for being not only the most powerful athlete in the world at the moment, but using his voice to amplify things. But at the same time, I also have to commend him for understanding that, with great
power comes great responsibility.
Yes, with great power comes great responsibility. So, he's still human, but for him to just kind of recognize that and maybe say, okay, let me just maybe not apologize for how I'm feeling right now, but if this is the reaction that it is going to get and it may be doing more harm than good, then maybe I should kind of reel it back in and explain myself. So, I appreciate the self-awareness in a heightened time of frustration. And we definitely got to commend Bron on that, if nothing else.
Listen, so I will say this. LeBron having the power to piss off whether Republicans or white Americans with one tweet is like, that's like, I was amazed at that. I was like, man, he's got a lot of influence.
Yeah,
it went like a firestorm.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's him and Cardi B, believe it or not.
Yeah,
that always get the right wingers in a bunch. I know you hate it, TJ, but you gotta know.
Listen.
Your girl's out there she's putting in the tweet pain, and they come right at her neck every single time.
Listen, well, speaking of, and I know we went over, but we're gonna wrap soon and go to the moral of the story. But I wanted everybody to know that LeBron is so powerful that he had someone else chime in, and O.J. Simpson has something to say about LeBron. And so I have a video clip of this. Alan, I know you haven't seen it. I only watched a little bit of it, so I don't know exactly everything he said. So I was like, oh, I got to play this. So this is O.J. Simpson on LeBron James' comments and the Derek Chauvin case.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Tough morning listening to all the criticism that LeBron James is getting. I'm a fan of LeBron. I admire the work that he's done, how he's helped his community and how he's helped his friends, and how he's been fighting all of these social issues, especially that of systemic racism in the legal system and with the police departments around our country. But you can't fight every battle. You can't, you got to pick your battles. I mean, It's a war that must be fought, but sometimes you need to take your time and be a little more patient before you comment on some of these bad incidences that are happening with police departments. This one, LeBron should have waited. I'm a little upset with most of the media because they showed us edited versions of what took place with the girl with the knife. They made it sound as if this was another police officer overreacting and killing a young black American. Well, from what I saw when I saw the full tape, the police guy had no choice. He responded. We wish he could have pulled a taser. We wish he could have done it in another way. But in that instance, if he hadn't done what he did, it appeared to me if another young American would have had her life taken. And hey, I can't fault what he did. I wish it was different, but I can't fault it. But LeBron, keep fighting the fight. I think we all got to be a little more patient. I'm against defunding the police. I think you just got to redirect some of those funds to better training and maybe dealing with more psychological training. In any event, God bless.
Listen, let me explain to y'all what that was. OJ is under constant surveillance from white folks. Okay? So you know what happened was OJ was probably golfing, minding his business, and every once in a while, white folks do an OJ check to make sure where he's at. So somebody probably went up to him, hey, OJ, what do you think about LeBron James's comments, huh? And he's probably at the country club that he don't want to get kicked out of because, you know, he is OJ. So they put a camera to his face and was like, so, what do you think, OJ? And he was like, he spewed as much stuff that he felt like they wanted to hear so he can go on and live his free life. I'm sure this is for all you Negroes and these black men. I know we're cut short, so y'all very lucky I didn't have my time for my rant. But for all y'all who was out here defending, yes, so for all of you black men who's out here defending what that officer did, just go to sleep at night knowing that O.J. Simpson is on your side. That should make y'all feel like you and OJ have something in common. That y'all look, the comment section just lit up. Killer commentary. Y'all petty for that. Shut up, OJ. This whole week, yeah. So OJ Simpson has always been a coon. he can't help it. So, but I'm sure LeBron James really regrets that tweet if he knew that O.J. Simpson was going to comment on it. Like he was some sort of like father figure to give LeBron James some advice.
Well, it's on the contrary, he probably feels that, if this is O.J.'s stance, then I probably should have left the tweet up. I'm probably right. Like on the contrary of what you were saying, like if you agree with O.J., just, understand what that comes with. If you're on the opposite side of O.J., then you're probably on the right side of history.
I rest my case. See, I didn't even do it. That's why I played the video. I rest my case.
But it's funny because OJ just does these videos randomly, and it's just about the most.
It's not random. It's not random.
He's always playing golf.
White folks have a tracker device on it. They know where he's at all times. Soapboxx Nation, if you are one of our international or Soapboxx Nation, let us know in the comment section if y'all know where OJ. There's probably an OJ. There should be. Do you know how popular that app would be if there was an OJ app? like a Where's Waldo book for kids, or is it for white? I'm sorry. I'm getting silly, y'all. I'm not.
It's always going to be on a golf course.
Look at. He's in Coconut Grove right now. Coconut Grove right now. They know exactly where he's at. Look at. He said, "Look at these white folks. They know they are tracking OJ like he's Carmen Sandiego, right? So they just gotta keep an eye on OJ. But listen, before we run out of too much time, let's get to the moral of the story. But first, let's give a round of applause to our guest host, Morgan, for always coming through, always being there for us.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you. Morgan, we're going to have you front and center. What is your moral of the story?
Oh, so many moral of the stories. mean, I think we still do have a lot, ground to cover in this whole, justice system thing, racism thing. I think we've been put in a position now where we're going to be afraid to call the police even when we need help, because we know that when they respond to a case that involves Black people, it may turn out to be a different outcome that we, didn't intend for it to become. Moral of the story, I think, is that we just need to, keep our hands on our kids as much as possible. We do need to take more accountability for our actions, of course. Yes. We're not taking advice from this idiot you just posted this video of.
OJ.
We're not taking any advice from him. That's pretty much for me. And then shout out to, us still getting, three guilty verdicts on 420 on Taco Tuesday. So,
Yes.
Shout out to
Absolutely. I'm trying to confirm, but Alan, I don't know if you saw this breaking news. I know this week we just lost Black Rob, right? So RP to Black Rob, but it's just announced that Shock G from Digital Underground.
Yeah.
I
didn't. So that's icons in the hip hop game, man. So I know that anytime we lose people in hip hop, it hurts the community. But definitely someone like you is a hip hop enthusiast, an independent artist yourself. I know it's a lot of touching. I hate to have brought that to you. Soapbox Nation was actually talking about it in the comment section, so we appreciate that. And look at white folks talking about we have the app. Please, y'all need to stop. Our petty Soapbox Nation they have the OJ app ready and waiting. But RIP to him, Alan. I know I just kind of throw that on you, but your moral of the story, my man.
Yeah, moral of the story is health is wealth. Y'all, health is wealth. Make sure y'all doing y'all yearly checkups. Make sure you guys are taking care of yourself mentally and physically as well. We don't get to, even though externally we may be able to do some surgeries, but internally, it's not a lot of surgeries to get yourself right. So, health is wealth for real. And we'll see y'all next week. TJ, what's your moral of the story?
Listen, man, my moral of the story is it's kind of ironic because the OJ thing got me tripping up. But okay, my moral of the story is, listen, it does take a village. Don't be afraid to learn from some of the people, from some of your elders, and reach out to other people who are, have expertise. The best thing as a leader is to know when you need help. And so I say that all the time is when I need help with things, whether it's the soapbox. So I appreciate Morgan for being here. I appreciate Attorney Melvin Pearson for blessing us. These are people that I called today and they were like, cool, I'm there. I want to be a part of the soapbox. Shout out to Judge Attorney Joseph Haynes Davis. And I want to give a shout out to Javonni, who's dealing with some personal things right now, so she wasn't on the show this week. So Javonni, you're definitely in our prayers. I got you for Unspoken, and definitely it's also Jesse's birthday. So happy birthday, Jesse! That's what she's done on the show. So we are integrating Jesse. Jesse is on her worst behavior. Follow Jesse on her Instagram story. Jesse was out there cutting up late. I was just like, what the. We don't drug test on the Soapbox Podcast. We don't do nothing. So it was 420.
I didn't even see it. Don't worry about it. Soapbox HR. We on it.
She is out here acting. The baby is out. She is acting a fool. No behavior, just say. But listen, we appreciate each and every one of you. Like Alan said, health is wealth. Make sure you take care of yourself. And if you need to, make sure you go see a mental health therapist or counselor to make sure that you are right and centered. So shout out to Soapbox Nation. Make sure you follow us, Soapboxx Podcast with 2X, Soapboxx Podcast. What else? Yes. Also, I can't forget, this Friday, Saturday, I will be on the new Blurred Order podcast. All right. Talking about the new Mortal Kombat movie that's coming out. Talking about Falcon Winter Soldier. I'm very excited. I love being on that podcast, and we are working some things out to be on the multiverse. iron sharpens iron. So I'm really excited for all the other podcasts that have been that are starting up and that are on their journey as well. We went over today, so I got bonus content. I might split this one up into two, but thank y'all so much. So for Alan, for Jesse, for Javonni, for Melba, for attorney Joseph Haynes Davis, for Morgan and Bottomless Conversations, this is the Soapboxx Podcast. Hey, y'all be good. Peace. We out.